right, so we're recording. Casey here.
Chris is here.
Chris is here. Awesome. So Chris and we do TSM, which is the Sinclair Method, which I believe is the most successful method in the world for assisting anyone with alcohol use disorder. And I have been using it for about 2.5 years. I've been on TSM. How long have you been on it, Chris?
I'm right around six months.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Walk me through like maybe the last 6 months. And here is an hourglass. And I'm flipping it when we start on subjects. And when we see it done, it's been 5 minutes.
So wrap it up.
Right. So if you see the sand is not going, time is up.
Maybe I need the hourglass over here.
No, just the 5-minute glass.
Okay. Walk you through my journey?
Yeah, like just start. Yeah, like how, like what even like made you say kind of yes to TSM?
Well, you reached out to me originally to tell me that you had started TSM and that you thought that it would be something that I might be interested in, knowing that I was struggling with alcohol. And this was probably 3 years ago, 2.5.
Probably 2.5 because it was when I found it.
Yeah. Right.
It's 2.5.
And so I got the naltrexone and started the protocol. I did not get the book initially, so I was just going off of kind of, what you said to do. And did it for 30 days, and then I just kind of gave up on it. And it turned out that I actually had gastric bypass back in 2010. And so I was taking the naltrexone without eating, and it was making me feel really nauseous. And I couldn't handle it. I was just like, ugh, it just makes me feel icky when I drink. And so after about 30 days, I just kind of gave up on it. I was just like, I just don't think I can do this. And I also expected it to work faster.
Right, we want something. We're a society.
Right?
We want immediate results.
Right? I went 30 days is long enough. And so I ended up just saying, forget it. So I did not get a refill and just went back to drinking like I normally was. And so then it was probably another year and a half later, when you circled back around with me. I had gained quite a bit of weight from the daily drinking. And
how much were you drinking a day?
At least 2 bottles of red wine a day.
Like the big bottles?
Yeah, I like the big cheap ones.
Right.
The big and expensive ones.
The big girls.
The double bottle.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, and then you called me and said, I think you should give it another try. And I was absolutely, ready to. I just didn't want to feel the way that I did the first time. And so we talked through, the protocol and kind of, I don't want, what I was doing wrong. And yeah, I started back on it 6 months ago, and I've never been non-compliant.
Yay!
In my 6 months.
That's
Thank
such
you very
a big
much.
deal.
Thank
Such
you.
a big deal.
Thank you. Because I really did, I was committed to following it through this time. And so I was like, knowing that it was going to take some time, I did get the book. I did read that the average time from starting, the naltrexone to extinction is like 3 to 4 months. And so I was like, okay, I can hang in there that long. And also knowing that some people, like yourself, take longer. Yeah. Sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's 2 years. So, but.
And I've even seen people in the groups like 3 years, like it can take time.
Yeah. And I guess like the way that I looked at it too was what's the alternative? So, I had turned 50.
Looking good, girl.
Thank you. And feeling good. And, was just thinking, where will I be in 10 years if I continue this drinking, physically, mentally, financially. I mean, every area of my life, was being negatively impacted because everything revolved around the daily drinking. So I was just like, I'm just not willing to allow that to control my life, and to check out early because I wasn't able to kick this habit.
Look at there, the 5-minute stand just ran out. You did it. You 5 minutes. Boom.
I mean, I'm a natural.
You weren't even looking at it. I'm the only one looking at it. Chris is not looking at the 5-minute stand glass. I'm going to flip it again. So now on next subject.
I don't wake up with an alarm either. So.
And so, this is what I believe. And I know that we were on a walk talking about this, that I believe that the 3 secrets to this method, and I was like, because in the book it says 78%, medically proven, scientifically
success rate.
Right, success rate for this method. But I was like, I honestly feel like with time, 100% compliance. I do, 100% compliance, like no exceptions. Like make that a commitment from, as early on as you can. If you've slipped up, whatever, make that commitment right now. 100% compliance. Being patient with yourself, giving it time. Maybe it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it takes. What is the alternative? And then the third one was alcohol-free days. So, and stretches of that. And I know for me personally, and I think I was expecting, and you can, share your expectations, but I was expecting for myself at 3 to 4 months just to not crave it, just to like not have to use mindfulness or to make the decision to not drink, which is what I did numerous times in my life before, after a horrible, embarrassing night of being like, I'm not drinking, I'm giving it up, or like going those, to AA and having to make that decision of not drinking, but only for like, 2 days. And I think the magic is 3 days. That's when I started to see the magic for myself, is when I gave myself the 3-day stretches. So and I know you just got off your longest stretch that you did and then drank. So like, but tell me like this last stretch of alcohol free that you did, because usually like knowing you, I mean, you would want to start drinking by like, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, right? Like that's kind of when
about that time
daily,
about 3 o'clock.
Yeah. All the way
wine o'clock
all the way till bedtime, take your wine to bed. What was it like to go on an alcohol-free stretch for, 4 full nights of no alcohol? Like what happened for you in your body, like doing that?
Yeah. Up until this last stretch, I went, I think 2 days, maybe 3, but not 3 nights, because I had to go to the dentist, and I had to cut off any medication that I was taking, and so I was forced to do it. I think I only had done like 1 alcohol-free day on my own volition.
Right.
And so this last time, started just a new health regimen altogether. Walking, nutrition, completely changing my diet. And so, just with that, decided, sugar is not part of that health regimen. And so I was like, I'm committed to starting this. And so I'm going to see how many days I can go. And so I went 5 days, ended up drinking last night, was compliant. So I took my pill, waited my hour, and decided to have a couple glasses of wine after I was bragging about the 5 days that I had gone, which was the longest stretch I had done.
That is a huge deal though. Like, let me just say, like, that's incredible.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome.
And there's got to be a first time.
Yep.
For that stretch. But so what I noticed was, because I had gone, 5 days, and I got to night 5, and decided to have a couple glasses of wine. After 1 glass, I felt buzzed, which is not normal. And then I had probably, they were home pours. So I could say 3 glasses, but it was probably 4. And I woke up feeling like crap. It wasn't as bad as the now over days. You know, our
For anyone who's not familiar with a now over, that's just what we call our hangovers. Sometimes it can be intense, but I'm a firm believer that the negative reinforcement of this method is also what is changing our chemical craving. Would you say that the chemical craving was ultimately your addiction, like the craving?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there was definitely the, hand to mouth habit of just having something, you sit down at the end of the day, you want to wind down, pun intended, and just relax, take it easy and kind of turn your brain off and check out. And that was what happened every day. But I absolutely, if I didn't start drinking by, 3-4 o'clock, there was 100%, there was a trigger that would start the craving. That would just be like, it's time. And it wasn't just mental. I mean, like my body, my face would get flushed, and it was like, I would have a physiological reaction to not having started drinking yet. My body knew it was time.
And when I first met you, you had been in AA, and you went like 3 years though without drinking, but it was that craving that took you back. And AA has what, like a maybe 10%, 5 to 10% success rate, and it's because that craving is so freaking strong. It doesn't matter how long you've been without it. It's like that craving is there for there to be a method that removes the chemical craving, and that it's not frontline therapy for people that have alcohol consumption disorder, the alcohol use disorder. It's mind blowing to me. I mean, I get it. There's no money in it. It's a very cheap medication. And rehab's very expensive. That think about all the money made from people's alcohol
absolutely
overconsumption, and then the alcohol industry itself. So it's but I mean, I know that I'm on a mission to make sure people know about this method.
Thank God.
It's just really awesome to watch a close friend's journey, and I mean, and you didn't even know. And I mean, I hid my alcohol, like when we first knew each other. I know you weren't drinking.
I don't know a whole lot of alcoholics or people who suffer from alcohol overuse that aren't damn good at hiding it. I mean, that's the whole plan, is to make it look like there's no problem. So
right.
I don't think that's uncommon.
No problem. What else would you say? I know that you've been doing, like, you go to bed listening to meditations. You like, what are some other things, or like just practices, or is it just like, hey, I'm just, the compliance is the one thing I've committed to, and I'm just trying some other things. What would you say?
Yeah, I think definitely the meditations. That allows me to shut my mind down, which is something that I relied on wine to do, every night, and it would be basically passing out. But the meditations are just a much healthier way to go to sleep, and full of positivity. I mean, affirmations and, listening to positive self-talk that just, reinforces your decision, and it helps you feel empowered. That's been a huge help on this journey. And a lot of self-love. I mean, I one of the things that I was talking with the doctor who prescribed the naltrexone, said there's absolutely, obviously a chemical help that comes from the naltrexone and what it does to, the receptors in your brain. And he said, and then there's you, and, you make the decision that at some point you don't rely on the pill fully. You have to start to make some decisions about what's good for you. And one of the things that, was that he said that I don't know that it's that profound, but, he said you do have to take a look at what caused you to start over drinking in the first place, because naltrexone doesn't take that away. Right. I mean, if it's low self-esteem, if it's, you've been really hurt in a relationship, or whatever, trauma, it is, anxiety, depression, so many things can cause you to overdrink and to rely on
100%.
that. And I really have done a lot of work in looking at, what started this in the first place? Like, why did I feel like I needed alcohol every day to, relax? What am I relaxing from? What's the problem? So I definitely think that is a huge factor in being successful, is working on yourself.
Yep, 100%. Because it's like, I think about like the body, and I know I've been obsessed really with studying too, just about the power of the subconscious and the conscious mind, and how, the subconscious too, it's like 95% of our lives come from that underlining and just the 5% of the conscious. So it's like, okay, if I can use my conscious to make that self-love decision of like, hey, I can do 2-3 days of alcohol free, even if I still want it a little bit, like before that happened. And it's like, I feel like that is what did it for me. It was like gifting myself that, and then allowing my body to remember what it felt like to feel good. And then to replace those maybe drinking times with a walk, with meditation. If you have a friend that doesn't drink much, hang out with that friend for a minute. And it's like just those types of conscious decisions. And then that subconscious of like, you doing your meditations and speaking the affirmations and all those things. So it's like, why not choose to do it all versus just saying, hey, naltrexone, I'm taking you 1 hour before I drink, and that's it, which it's a miracle what it does, that it takes the craving, because you and I both did a lot of those things even prior to naltrexone, but somehow we couldn't kick the drinking. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So it's like, but hey, now we have this gift.
It is a gift. It's the biggest gift.
Yeah, it's unless somebody has had the obsessive craving and tried to quit, I don't think they can understand that craving. It's an obsession.
I can remember years ago when I first realized that drinking was a problem, and you and I talked about this, that if you Google, am I an alcoholic, chances are you are. I mean, that's all you need to know, is that the fact that if you're thinking that way, yeah, that's probably a yes. And I remember thinking, now that I know this, what are the options? And that obviously this was before you or I knew anything about, TSM. And it was just like, do I go to rehab? Do I go to AA? My first attempt at getting sober on my own was creating a contract that I signed myself, thinking that was going to be enough, that I was just going to make a contract and stick to it. That lasted for about 5 days.
Yeah.
Maybe. And then AA. And so, I think it was 2.5 years, close to 3, that I was sober, had a sponsor. I was, doing the whole thing. And I just, the enormous gift of TSM is that it's just, you don't have to be miserable in being abstinent.
Denying cravings.
Yes. I mean, like, you can have a drink with your friends and you don't feel like a leper, like I can't drink. I'm the only one that can't drink. I can't have any fun. I mean, there are just so many things about TSM that, and great for people who completely stop drinking and that's what they want to do. I mean, TSM does that as well,
Right.
which is fantastic. But if you do want to be able to drink like a normal person and have a shut off switch, you can do that. And that's, with AA, that it was just never,
Oh, this is
never a
blasphemous.
possibility.
In the AA.
And the guilt and the shame and the, the difficulty in sticking with it. And if you slip and
Gotta go get the new chip.
oh boy, I mean, just everything that goes along with
Yeah.
that, it's very difficult to love yourself, because it's everything is
Yeah.
telling you, that you have to deny in order to be acceptable.
Well, and when you read the book, you realize that it's actually increasing your cravings,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So to be able to just drink, I feel like helps relieve the intense craving of like, but hey, if I wanted to drink, I ultimately could. I just have to be compliant. And to me, that is even part of the piece of it. Anybody who craves alcohol knows what we're talking about. It can never touch your lips again versus, oh wait, I can drink whenever I want as long as I stay compliant.
It's your choice.
Yeah, and like that's how you become a normal drinker. And I, back to what you said too, it's like I did not start this method to not drink. I've had great times with alcohol in my life. Very social, a lot of parties, a lot of events and things like that. Big networks, going out, drinking is a part of what I do. But it's very interesting how it's like I just don't desire it. It's like I just can't be bothered by it at this stage with where I am. But like, for New Year's, had some drinks, was out on a business trip, went down by the pool, had some Prosecco, but it was like one time out of my whole trip down there versus every 7 nights, that I was
Right.
there. It's just that choice. Maybe one day I'll get to a point where I don't drink at all, but it's like, that's the thing about this method is I don't even have to concern myself with that. None of that matters. I'm going to be compliant. I'm going to drink when I want. And I really don't want to though it anymore. It's amazing.
And totally worth the 2 years
Oh.
that it took to get there, right? I mean,
It'd be worth 10 years. It would be worth 10 years.
Yep. And that's what we talked about this afternoon, is that, no matter how long it takes, you said it best. You said, you won't end up having to quit alcohol. It'll quit you.
I got that from Claudia.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Claudia said it best. When you get to a point in this method and, being compliant, taking the pill, waiting the hour, and you said one of the 3 secrets is time. Like, you have to give this method time. And think about how much time I gave alcohol. I mean, the year, daily, for years. And it's just like, okay, I can't, go 3 months, 4 months, 6 months to get to a point where, on this last 5-day stretch, after I had a few glasses of wine last night, it was a completely different way to wake up. I felt crappy, compared to the 4 days before when I didn't drink. I had energy. My eyes were bright and white. And then this morning they were, kind of that glassed over look.
Oh yeah.
And I had a headache most of the day. So I had to take, 3 ibuprofen throughout the day just to kind of keep my headache at bay. And even my dreams, when I'm drinking, I tend to have negative dreams, and some that are quite disturbing. And my dreams have been lovely when I don't drink. And I'm sleeping more soundly, and I have more energy during the day. So that, that feeling, I had lost it. And when you can get to a point where you're ready to do the alcohol-free days, and I wasn't doing alcohol-free days until about a month ago.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready. I was still, and that's, I doubted it. I was like, oh man, I'm still drinking every day. I don't feel like I'm really drinking that much less. you know, is this really going to work? But I was determined to stick with it. So I was like, however long it takes me. But yeah, the encouragement that you gave me to, you know, just try 2 days. Okay. Now, you know, just try 3. Okay. Well, let's see how many we can do in a row. I mean, that was huge. And I do believe that the more days, and you tell me if you disagree, but the more days that you can do in a row, and again, it doesn't start out this way. You're not ready to do it right off the bat. But when you are, the more days you go, the more you can really tell with your body and your mind and your energy, you know, what it was like before you had to have alcohol every day.
100%. I'm a big believer on, and honestly, if you're someone and you're like, well, I need it to work faster, or like I want it to work as fast as possible, like make the mental choice to do alcohol-free stretches. Maybe even before my craving was not gone when I made those initial decisions. It was a choice because
Yep.
I was just really like, you know, and I talked with a doctor and, you know, things like that. And it was like, well, hey, if you can do some stretches, you know, and I was like, yeah, I can do stretches. I mean, I've gone months without alcohol before when I've tried to abstain, you know, and that was that choice. It was a daily fighting. And I remember then making those choices, and it was like, it was just like, but I'll drink again. It's fine. I'm going to drink in a couple of days. So just that alone took away the obsessive craving of it can never touch your lips again if you want to live a good life, you know? So
the cookie jar. we talked about the cookie jar. I mean, do not put your hand in the cookie jar
ever.
All you want is a cookie. It's like, I mean, it's just common sense. That's what's going to happen,
right.
You know?
I mean,
but
your parents tell you can't do something. That's all you want to
right,
do. I mean,
exactly.
This is just
cannot leave the house.
Psychology here, people.
Right.
Come on.
You start checking all the windows. How do I get out of here?
Right.
But no, that choice is everything.
Yeah.
Is everything.
Yep. So, well, awesome. Well, I can't wait to keep following you on my journey, or on your journey, which I feel
on
like
our journey
is my journey too, watching you. And it's just, I'm so proud of your compliance. My God, and that's what I tell you. I'm like, if you are being compliant, that is enough for wherever you are right now and whatever you're going through. I mean, usually people that do have, you know, alcohol use disorder, we've gone through to something, you know, and there is that emotional thing, and there is that just self-sabotage. There's that just disgust, guilt, shame that you harbor and carry around. So there's so much that we're going to be letting go of and healing, and it is this journey, but it's like I say, it's a journey that's honestly worth 10 years, because where would I be with fighting off my cravings in 10 years?
Well, yeah, I have to say, you know, you talked about how good we get at hiding the alcohol,
pro level,
right? And that actually became a pattern that even with TSM took a little while for me to break. I was still, even though I knew that I was doing something about it, and that I believed, because it has a 78% success rate, that it was going to work. I was still afraid to tell people that this is what I was doing. And then when you think about how many people, especially during this time in the world, that are struggling, it's like, why in the world would I hide this from anyone? Knowing, I mean, if you would have hidden it from me, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's just another, I think, really important point to make, is that, you know, it's just fantastic that you have taken such a leadership role in making sure that this gets out to the world, to as many people as possible, because it is a miracle. I mean, it is a life-changing miracle that you can go from being, you know, addicted daily having to drink every day. And I know different people have different types of drinking. You know, there's binge drinking, daily drinking. Yep. But whatever it is, to be able to do it in a normal way after years and years and years of struggle is just, it's a miracle. And so that for me was very liberating as well. And I think, you know, I just thank you for, you know, paving the way and making it be okay to talk about, because now I talk about it to my coworkers. Yeah. You know, like, which are the number one people that you don't want to let them know that there's you
no
have
problem.
Right. That you have a drinking problem. And it's been very well received. People are like, I am really proud of you. And you know what? I want to learn more because my brother or my dad
everybody knows somebody.
Absolutely.
I was sitting with a friend of mine the other day working on some projects, and I was showing this, was getting his input, and he was like, oh my gosh. And I had the book and working on some meditations and stuff, and he was just like, I literally know people that I need to share this with, like, right now. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, like it's so many people need. I mean, you watch The One Little Pill, and you think about how many people die from alcoholism, like every minute. And it's just like, it's a message that's worth sharing. It's a sacred message. People are on their hands and their knees. I was on my hands and my knees. I get emotional thinking about that day that I dropped to my knees and I just prayed, I want this craving gone.
Yeah.
And then I found this documentary, and it was like I had hope.
The documentary found you.
Right. God guided my intuition to somehow sit on there. And at that time, it was on Amazon. And I thought, if I could just watch people ruin their lives from alcohol, because I had not been drinking for a couple months, but I knew any moment the craving was going to win. It was just a matter of time, like every other time that I tried, like every other time it was going to go back, and the craving was so strong. And like, I wasn't seeing people, I wasn't going out anywhere because I knew I couldn't go be around alcohol. I didn't, so it was just like this depression and everything. And it's like, I had that pill thanks to the C3 Foundation in 2 hours and I was having a drink. I was like,
that's how fast it can be.
Right. And it was just like, and so then to have, to be where I am now, it's like I had to hold on to dear life, and I had to do the work. I was willing to do all of the work. I was gifted this method, and so I was going to do my part. And it's like, I just feel like I'm on this massive mission. I'm a missionary of TSM, 100%.
Absolutely. Well, and that, that One Little Pill movie is just so brilliant in showing the science so that you can understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's a difference between reading about it and being able to see, images and like, what it actually looks like when the receptors are being blocked.
Right.
And you're like, oh, okay. Like that
makes
sense. Right?
Hey, if you actually deny yourself the craving, it gets way more intense. Check.
That makes sense too.
Live through it. Have a personal testimony about it. Numerous ones, actually.
Yeah. So for anybody who's happens to be listening to this, if you haven't seen One Little Pill, and hopefully you have, it's a must. Yeah, a 100%. Must rent or a must buy.
Yep, for sure,
on Amazon.
I know. Yeah, it really so Amazon, you're not going to get on Amazon anymore. You can go to the onelittlepillmovie.com,
right,
and it'll reference you over there. So. Well, TSM community, if anybody has listened to us for this long, Babylon, it's been a pleasure. I believe in you.
We'll be back.
Yes, we're going to keep you updated on our TSM journey and just, try to stay lighthearted in your human journey. It is not the easiest thing to be human at the time, but life is a gift. And I can say the other side of TSM, really, you can look back and have a lot more lightness about the journey. Even though there are many, many struggles throughout it. It is an up and down journey. It is a roller coaster. There are good times and bad times on your TSM. There are moments of feeling like it's not working. There are those moments. There are moments of feeling like, wow, this works amazing. And then, wait, it didn't keep working that way. Right. it's okay. If you're just make one I made one promise. I was going to be compliant, and I didn't care how long it took me. That was it. That's all I told that when I watched that movie and I got that medication, it was like I was literally on my hands and my knees with this medicine. It was like this holy grail that I was holding. And that was the one promise I said, Casey, like, this is it, because if not this, what else? Like, are you going to go try AA again? Like, what, are you just going to live in misery? Or are you just going to ruin your life from alcohol? Like, what is it going to be?
Yeah. It's such a miracle. And you know what, the whole community is a miracle.
Yeah.
Is a beautiful thing, because it, you know, being in the group and seeing the level of support that people need and that people give, you know, who have been successful, and the level of acceptance and love that's in that community, in this community. It's just, it's incredible.
It is.
And like, thank God for that.
Yeah. Jenny and Claudia at the C3 Foundation, you ladies are absolutely miracle workers, and your angel wings are definitely high and mighty. I don't know how you ladies do all that you do. I know that you guys are the ones that are running this this program, this foundation that really just gives and gives and gives. So just what a sacred.
And it's growing. It
is. And I think what you said, that you have to be willing to talk about it, you know, when you're ready. I get it that, you know, that takes time. I do know that I did from the very beginning. My family definitely knew that I, you know, had a drinking problem for sure. Just, you know,
I didn't know.
With my family.
And I'm one of your best friends.
Indeed. They saw many situations. And family can bring out the best in you. And so I asked them all to watch the documentary with me. I said, I'm going to try this. Will you watch this? Will you watch this? And then I asked my sister, I hang out with my sister a lot. Will you support me? She would say things like, hey, I'm thinking about maybe I'm going to want to go out to eat later. You know, are you drinking today? Let's take your pill. You know, so I had that. I had support. Mm-hmm. Not everybody might have that, or your family just might be like, oh my gosh, you know, to where you are with alcohol, you know, it's got to be AA or nothing.
Yeah, it's so counterintuitive. I think it's difficult for people to understand.
100%.
Especially if
they've been through situations and events, you know. So, but I can say that if, you know, if there's any hope at all of having your family just sit down and just asking them, I would love your opinion on what do you think about this documentary, because honestly, it explained my cravings, and I cannot explain why does I do not want to be drinking. I really don't, but it's this craving that it leads me, and I can't fight it off. And this documentary finally explained that to me. I would love to know your opinion on this, with the success rate of it being so high compared to, you know, AA, and you don't even have to get into the whole abstinence or try to explain it. Let the documentary do that, because then that's that whole defensive. I didn't try to explain anything. I was just like, watch this documentary, and let me know what you think. And they were like, I hope it works, you know, and like, we're gonna support you. And then I would let, you know, a couple of my friends know, and, you know, hey, just try to I need that accountability, you know. But it just, I mean, I was accountable to myself. I was going to be compliant. So
yeah, that's a great point, about letting the movie do the explaining, because I've definitely tried to explain how TSM works, and people look at me like I've got three heads.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, that is really convenient that you get to keep drinking to get better. Okay. Yeah. But I'm like, well, you know, we'll see in the end.
We will see in the end. And I feel like with time and alcohol-free days, and, you know, what was the third secret that we decided? We said time,
compliance.
Oh, and hello,
take
the most
the
important.
Whatever you do, take the pill.
Right. I feel like it would be even higher than 78%.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? If you were talking like, if you never quit, like, and I mean, I'm not a doctor, I can't say for sure, but because it's just those things, you know, just being in the group and seeing people that, you know, it took them 3 years. Like, what if they quit at that 2-year mark, you know, like, God, that would just,
but right. And going back to, at some point, you do need to have some accountability, some self-accountability. Yep. It helps if you have an accountability buddy.
Yep.
But like, you have to be accountable for yourself.
Yep.
To make some decisions, to do those alcohol-free days, to say, you know what, like, because, you know, the pill doesn't do all the work.
Right.
It doesn't.
Right.
It does the work.
That's the
chemically
hard
for
work,
the
the
brain.
main work.
Yes.
Yep.
But you do have to, take a look at what changes you need to make
Yep.
in your life that are going to be positive changes, so that you
100%.
don't go back to
It's just fresh. All right. Well, we will be back at some point, and if you need any meditations, I'm definitely inspired to continue to make some more. I've gotten a lot of loving feedback on the ones that I've made specifically for TSM.
Woohoo.
Yeah. So I hope everybody
more
has-
meditations.
Yay! Hope everybody has a blessed day or night whenever you're listening to this, and hold the faith and keep going. And if you have a story you would like to share of your positive things since beginning TSM, whether or not it's full-blown extinction or just the positive things that you've noticed so far, oh my gosh, share with me so I can, help share your story and stuff like that as well too. So.
Thanks for having me, Casey.
Yeah, girl, you gonna be back? Yeah, So, all right. Bye, guys.